The walls of the academy are cold against my back as I stand at attention in front of the headmaster's desk. My robes hang loose around me, the fabric rough and unwelcome against my skin. The air is thick with the scent of old books and the faint tang of chalk dust that lingers from morning classes. Outside the window, the sky is a dull gray, matching the mood inside this place. My hands are clasped behind my back, fingers curling around each other in a nervous habit I've picked up over the years here. The wooden floor beneath my feet feels hard and unforgiving, echoing every slight movement with a sharp click. A stack of papers sits neatly on the desk before me, their edges crisp and unmarked, a stark contrast to everything else around us. The headmaster's stern face is etched into his wrinkled skin, eyes narrowing slightly as they assess me. His voice is low, but carries clearly in the quiet room when he speaks. Mage-born are a liability. It's not a question nor an accusation. It's a statement of fact, accepted by all here without argument. I swallow hard, throat dry with tension, and shift my weight slightly to ease the ache building in my calves. The sound is barely audible, but it seems loud enough to fill the room. I remind myself that this isn't about me. It never has been. This place, these people are. They treat us like a problem to be managed rather than individuals. My eyes flick down to the floor, as if searching for something reassuring there. A pattern in the wood, perhaps, but find only an endless repetition of cracks and splinters. The headmaster continues his assessment, each word another reminder that this is how things are done here. We exist because we must, but our magic does not. The room feels small now, confined, with no escape beyond its walls. Yet there's a strange comfort in knowing exactly what to expect. Danger isn't something new or shocking. It's just part of the rhythm of life in Demacia. Here I know my place, and nothing else matters outside that. Now is all there ever has been, all there will be. The present moment holds everything. The roughness of the floor, the sharp scent of ink on paper, the weight of this world's expectations pressing down around me like a familiar shroud. I twist my finger as I stand at the edge of the training grounds. No. The cold stone beneath my feet feels familiar, rough against my skin. My breath forms a thin mist in the air, and I can hear the distant clatter of metal on metal from another part of the compound. The headmaster's words echo in my mind. You will be an asset to the league. His tone is sharp and unyielding, leaving no room for doubt about his expectations. My task today is clear. Acquire a set of basic equipment from the armory and report back to the training arena for drills. I walk past rows of identical barracks with their cold stone walls and barred windows. Inside the armory, the air smells metallic and sharp. I choose a sword from the raksa, a simple blade, but sturdy enough for its purpose. Next, I select leather armor that fits snugly over my body, offering protection without hindering movement. With my equipment secured, I make my way to the training arena. The ground is marked with lines where we will engage in drills and sparring sessions. Other trainees are already there, their movements rigid as they go through routines. I take up a position at one end of the designated area and begin the series of exercises assigned by our instructors. Each action feels like a requirement rather than an act of choice. I parry and thrust with my sword, my muscles moving in practiced patterns. Sweat begins to bead on my forehead as I push myself through the drills. The day progresses without incident. Meals are taken at designated times, brief, but sufficient for sustenance. No conversation is necessary. We communicate through established signals and routines. Afternoon training sessions involve sparring with others, each encounter a test of skill and endurance rather than personal conflict. As night falls, I return to my barracks. The routine is the same. Shower, clean equipment, rest tight. Sleep comes easily, unburdened by dreams or hopes for change. I am here because this function is being performed. The metallic weight of my sword feels heavy as I retrieve it from its place on the wall. The cool surface presses against my palm, leaving a slight chill that sends a shiver down my arm. As I grip the hilt firmly, the metal's presence is immediate and tangible. Later, during training drills, the same sensation returns as I sheath my sword after each sparring session. This time, the weight feels slightly less pronounced, though it still demands acknowledgement. The metallic texture clings to my fingers briefly before sliding into place with a muted clang. By evening practice, the sword's heft has become almost routine. As I unsheath and resheath the blade repeatedly, its presence begins to fade into the background of my awareness. The cold chill is still there, but it no longer startles me. Instead, it feels like an old friend that needs no introduction. During supper in the dining hall, I notice a brief moment where the metallic weight seems almost imperceptible as I place my plate down on the table. My fingers move automatically to set it in its usual spot, and for a fleeting second, there's a sense of detachment from the physical sensation. The metal is still there, but it no longer demands attention. As night falls, I lay in bed with the sword by my side. Its presence is barely noticeable now, just another part of the nightly routine. The chill has softened into an unremarkable coolness that blends seamlessly with the room's temperature. When sleep finally comes, the metallic weight is a mere whisper against my consciousness, hardly more than a memory of sensation. Tomorrow will bring the same routine, but tonight, the sword feels like just another object in a world filled with countless others, each one becoming less and less extraordinary with time. I move through the barracks, my steps steady and measured. The space around me feels crowded but organized, a hive of activity that flows in predictable patterns. Others are mere silhouettes against the dim lighting, their movements blending into a choreographed dance. They shift position, aligning themselves without any need for explicit instructions, each action timed to mesh seamlessly with a neurox. As I walk down the narrow corridor, my body adjusts automatically to avoid collisions. The rhythm of footsteps and the occasional murmur of voices blend into an ambient hum. There is no sense of individual identity here. We are a collective entity moving towards common objectives. Each person becomes part of a larger formation, their presence acknowledged but not noted beyond its functional role. In the training grounds, our group falls into place effortlessly. The drills commence with precision timing, each strike and block synchronized like clockwork. I feel no personal connection to those around me. We are interchangeable parts in a well-oiled machine. Our movements merge into a cohesive whole, reducing individuality to insignificance. The sword at my side is as much an extension of this collective rhythm as any other part of the routine. During meals, our formation shifts slightly, but maintains its order. We sit in rows, consuming food without conversation or exchange. Each person's actions are mirrored by those beside them, creating a uniform tableau. My place here is defined not by personal characteristics, but by my role within this structured system. At night, as we retire to our quarters, the sense of individuality diminishes further. We file into the dormitory in neat lines, each step and breath timed precisely with odursa. The ritual of bedding down follows a familiar sequence, everyone moving in unison until the room falls silent. In this moment, I am just another figure among many, part of an endless cycle that continues without pause or deviation. In this environment, there is no space for personal distinction. We are merely components of a larger mechanism, each action contributing to a seamless process. I wake up in the same narrow bed, with the familiar chill seeping through the thin mattress. The walls are cold, but I no longer flinch at their touch. My movements are calculated and practiced as I rise from my cot, feet touching the hard floor with a dull thud. The morning routine is unchanging. Wash, eat, report to training. Each task is performed without hesitation or deviation. The sword hangs loosely at my side, its weight now just another part of me, like an old habit that no longer demands attention. As I make my way to the dining hall for breakfast, the rhythmic clink of metal against plate blends into the background noise. The headmaster's critique is distant and expected. His words sting momentarily, but quickly fade as routine sets in again. Tasks are completed with mechanical precision, each action a familiar dance of muscle memory. The barracks feel like home, even if it lacks warmth or comfort beyond what we've grown accustomed to. By nightfall, the day's events blur together into one seamless cycle. Supper is eaten without conversation, and my sword lies quietly on the table beside me. As I return to my cot, the metallic weight of it seems less intrusive, more like a silent companion than a constant reminder of duty or fear. The world outside remains unchanged. Cold walls, hard floors, relentless expectations. And yet, within this rigid framework, there is an odd sense of peace, a quiet acceptance that everything will continue as it has always been. I lie down on my cot, the sword beside me, and sleep comes easily without dreams or desires for change. Tomorrow will be much like today. That thought brings neither hope nor despair. It simply is what it is. The headmaster's critique serves a clear purpose: maintaining the system's operational efficiency. Each criticism is not an attack on my individuality, but rather a calibration of performance within the broader framework. The strict environment ensures that every component functions at peak capacity without unnecessary emotional interference. Predictability and routine are essential for stabilizing operations. They minimize variability and maximize readiness. My finger twisting and dry throat are mere biological responses to stress, which I can manage through practice detachment. They no longer disrupt my tasks, but serve as indicators of thresholds being reached. Thresholds that must be managed rather than overcome. The oppressive atmosphere is a constant, yet it remains predictable, allowing for efficient adaptation. Comfort arises not from emotional support, but from the familiarity and reliability of routine. The sword's weight, once startling, now blends into daily activities without demand for attention. It becomes an ordinary tool, essential to my role within the system. Just as I adapt to its presence, so too do I integrate other elements that were once foreign or threatening. The metallic chill is no longer a source of fear, but a signifier of preparedness. Navigating the barracks with precision reduces me to a component in a larger machina, a necessary cog rather than an individual entity. Each routine, executed without emotional weight, ensures seamless integration into the collective effort. My movements are calibrated for efficiency, and deviations from established patterns could lead to instability or inefficiency. There is comfort in knowing my actions align perfectly with systemic requirements. Detachment allows me to view each task as a necessary operation rather than an imposition. The environment's predictability offers stability, essential for maintaining operational readiness. Each day follows the same pattern, not out of resignation, but because it ensures consistency and reliability within the system. Emotions like fear or desire are inefficient. they introduce variables that could disrupt the established equilibrium. The sword now simply exists as a part of my routine, no longer demanding attention beyond its functional role. My acceptance is not passive submission, but an understanding that this is how the system functions optimally. There is an odd sense of peace in knowing that every component has a place and purpose. Peace derived from necessity rather than sentiment. In summary, strictness and impersonality are operational necessities ensuring efficiency and readiness. The system must function as it does to maintain stability and effectiveness, devoid of emotional noise or individual desires for change. This works because it has to. The frequency of operations dictates the margin for error. Each cycle reduces individuality to a statistic, a mere variable in a vast equation. The rhythm of duty is predictable, and deviation from this pattern incurs inefficiency. Every task has an optimal throughput, a peak performance threshold that must be sustained without emotional interference. Living beings within the system are units, interchangeable parts with specific capacities. Their presence or absence is noted not as loss, but as fluctuation in operational efficiency. The capacity to endure stress and maintain function is calibrated through rigorous training and adaptation. Pain, discomfort, and fear dissolve into quantitative measures: rate of tolerance, margin of resilience. Decisions become cleaner when reframed as outputs, rather than choices. Each action has a projected outcome, an expected yield that must be met or exceeded. The system functions not because it is humane, but because it is functional. Efficiency overflows from necessity, and necessity dictates the terms of existence. The odd sense of peace emerges not from personal contentment, but from alignment with systemic imperatives. Tasks are no longer impositions, but necessary operations, each contributing to a larger equilibrium. The world's mechanics dictate that individual variance must be minimized for collective efficacy. In this context, the human element is abstracted into performance metrics. Living beings are reduced to tolerances and margins, capacities that can be measured, optimized, and maintained within operational limits. There is no room for sentimentality, only efficiency matters. The system thrives on predictability and consistency, where each unit operates at peak capacity without deviating from established protocols. Deviations introduce noise, disrupting the harmony of operations. High stability comes from adherence to these rules, not from personal fulfillment or emotional attachment. Converting discomfort into quantities is a survival mechanism, a way to ensure that individual experiences do not interfere with systemic requirements. Once counted and quantified, nothing feels personal. Each unit functions within its designated parameters, contributing to the greater operational integrity of the system as a whole. The weight of the armor shifts with each step, a constant reminder of the responsibilities carried. The air is thick and heavy, laden with the scent of earth and metal. Sweat beads on my brow, tracing paths down my face, but I do not pause to wipe them away. Each bead is an indicator of exertion, evidence that systems are functioning as they should. The repetitive rhythm of training drills becomes a familiar pulse, steady and unyielding. The thud of impact from each strike against the practice dummy echoes in the vast expanse of the training grounds. My muscles ache with the effort, but there is no room for discomfort or fatigue. Each hit is calibrated to maximum efficiency, ensuring that every ounce of energy contributes to our collective strength. The ambient noise of the environment, shouts, clashing weapons, and the occasional distant explosion, a backdrop to my focused state. It is a reminder that this is not just practice, but preparation. The sounds merge into a continuous hum, reinforcing the sense of purpose behind each action. This is what keeps us resilient, what maintains order in the face of chaos. The sensory inputs are amplified under increased strain. The armor's weight becomes more pronounced with every movement, grounding me to my tasks. The scent of earth and metal grows stronger, almost overwhelming, but I am conditioned to accept it as a sign that operations are proceeding as they should. Sweat continues its relentless path down my skin, a tangible measure of effort expended. My vision narrows slightly, focusing on the immediate task ahead while filtering out distractions. Each strike is executed with precision. Each block counters an unseen threat. The rhythm remains steady, the pulse of activity confirming that things are working as intended. Discomfort aligns with productivity. It taunts the friction necessary to maintain the machine's integrity. The body's responses are muscle fatigue, breathlessness, and sweat are quantified, not qualitatively judged. They are data points in a larger equation, variables that must be managed for optimal performance. The mind remains detached from these sensations, interpreting them as expected operational stress rather than signs of distress or pain. This is the way it must be. Efficiency over emotional fulfillment. Stability through systemic necessity. Each step, each strike, each breath is a reaffirmation of the system's logic. The strain confirms that we are functioning correctly, that our roles are being fulfilled with precision and purpose. This detachment offers a sense of peace, not from personal contentment, but from alignment with the imperatives that sustain us all. A momentary hesitation flickers in my mind, a brief flutter of uncertainty. Eton's an anomaly, a deviation from the norm that does not fit within the established framework. I pause for the merest instant, evaluating its significance. This hesitation is a glitch, an unexpected noise that disrupts the smooth flow of operations. Immediately, I recognize the need to correct this aberration. The system does not tolerate deviations. They are inefficiencies that impede functionality. My internal dialogue shifts into a corrective mode, rationalizing and aligning my thoughts back to necessity. The hesitation is identified as an unnecessary emotional residue, an outdated thought pattern that no longer serves its purpose. Eton's discarded with the same efficiency one would use in pruning excess growth from a plant. The system requires precision and reliability. Any deviation compromises this integrity. I reaffirm the systemic imperative. Every action must serve a higher function, ensuring optimal performance within the framework of necessity. This correction feels competent and professional, aligning my thoughts back to their intended path. There is no room for doubt or emotional interference in this operational reality. The system functions because it must, and I am an integral part of that functioning. The sense of duty and responsibility reasserts itself, grounding me firmly in the task at hand. Each movement, each thought, aligns with the systemic requirements, reinforcing a sense of purpose and order. This internal correction is routine, a natural response to maintaining peak performance without deviation. Efficiency over emotional fulfillment. That is the unyielding logic of the system. The peace I feel is derived from necessity, not personal contentment. It is a detached but steady assurance that my actions serve a greater purpose, ensuring the continued operation and stability of the whole. This internal correction feels both clean and necessary, reinforcing the operational framework without hesitation or doubt. The sense of detachment has solidified into a profound and unyielding acceptance of my role within the system. Each day, each moment, is a reaffirmation of necessity over sentimentality. The logic that governs this world is stark and unforgiving, but it is also clear and consistent. Emotions are irrelevant. They only serve to disrupt the flow of operations. Demacian's routine was uneventful, yet it brought with it an undeniable sense of purpose. Bauer, each task completed without hesitation or deviation, strengthens my resolve. The pain in my body becomes a quantifiable metric, a measure of effort rather than suffering. It is not discomfort but confirmation, a signal that I am functioning as intended. As I navigate through the day's obligations, every action is a reaffirmation of systemic correctness. There is no room for doubt or deviation. Each decision is guided by necessity rather than personal preference. The world operates on rigid principles, and aligning with them ensures stability and efficiency. Deviation would be chaos, and chaos undermines everything. This clarity brings a sense of peace, not the kind that comes from joy or fulfillment, but the steady tranquility of knowing I am fulfilling my role as required. My detachment is not merely emotional, it is rational and necessary. The system functions because it must, and by adhering to its dictates, I contribute to this functional necessity. There is no room for questioning or doubt. Every thought, every action aligns with the imperatives of the system. Logic resolves all internal friction. Moral questions dissolve into correctness. I am a component in a larger machine, and my purpose is clear: efficiency over personal contentment. This acceptance brings a settled sense of order, devoid of emotional payoff or anticipation of later consequences. In this world, there are no heroes or villains, only operational necessities. My role is not defined by sentiment, but by function. Oh, and in that function, I find my peace, cold, unyielding peace that comes from knowing everything adds up and nothing remains to argue. The day begins, as it always does, with the familiar routine of waking up to the sound of my alarm. I move through each task without thought, brushing teeth, dressing, securing armor and weapons. The motions are precise, automatic, driven by necessity rather than desire. Each step in the training ground is calculated, a dance of muscles and magic. Pain from overuse registers as data points, necessary information for adjustments. Efficiency dictates my movements, minimizing wasted energy, maximizing output. In the midst of combat drills, an unexpected strike causes a momentary disruption. Reflexively, I realign stance, recalibrating to maintain optimal form. The system corrects itself swiftly, pain acknowledged but not dwelled upon. Tasks throughout the day are completed with detachment, each action serving a greater purpose. Meals are eaten efficiently, rest periods observed strictly for peak performance. Social interactions are brief and functional, maintaining necessary alliances without emotional entanglements. Late into the night, as I review my daily log, corrections are noted but not questioned. The system is flawless. Deviations are anomalies to be corrected, not challenges to be debated. Pain from a recent mission registers administratively liant, data for future optimization. Emotions like fatigue or frustration feel foreign, dismissed as irrelevant noise in an otherwise harmonious operational flow. Sleep comes easily, the body and mind settling into patterns of rest that ensure readiness for tomorrow's tasks. Dreams are rare. When they occur, they too serve a purpose, offering subconscious solutions to problems encountered during waking hours. In this state of internalized compliance, every action is a reaffirmation of order and efficiency. The system guides me seamlessly, decisions made not through deliberation, but by default. This peace is found in the relentless pursuit of operational excellence, devoid of personal fulfillment, yet rich with purpose. The day began as usual, with a series of notifications signaling the start of my assignments. I moved through the morning routine without hesitation, each task completed efficiently and without deviation. The first mission was a straightforward engagement in the rift, where objectives were clear and expected outcomes well-defined. Upon arriving at the designated area, I observed the opposing forces and calculated the most effective strategy for our team. Interaction with teammates was brief and to the point. No time was wasted on unnecessary dialogue. We initiated our plan without delay, each move coordinated and precise. The battle unfolded as anticipated, with both sides displaying predictable patterns of aggression and defense. Our objective was secured quickly, and the remaining enemy forces were systematically neutralized. There was no emotional response to the confrontation or its aftermath, only a sense of completion upon achieving the desired outcome. Casualties on either side were registered, but not dwelled upon on merely data points in an ongoing assessment of performance metrics. Returning from the engagement, I reported back to base with minimal commentary. Updates and analyses were shared as part of the standard debriefing procedure. Any anomalies or deviations noted would be addressed through subsequent adjustments to strategy and training protocols. The day continued with scheduled meetings and briefings. Each interaction was professional and focused on actionable items rather than personal sentiments. Information was exchanged efficiently, and tasks were assigned based on capability assessments. The evening concluded with a review of the day's activities, identifying areas for improvement without assigning blame or invoking emotional responses. Sleep came easily, dreams serving as simulations for potential scenarios to be addressed in future engagements. Waking up felt like transitioning from one operational phase to another seamlessly. The cycle was consistent and unremarkable, each segment blending into the next with a sense of purposeful inertia. The day's events were over because they had been completed. There was no lingering reflection or emotional residue, only a readiness for what lay ahead. Today's routine begins as it always does, with a series of tasks dictated by higher authority. The morning briefing is straightforward. Objectives are communicated without room for interpretation, and my role within the hierarchy is clear. I move through the designated spaces, accessing areas that align precisely with my assigned permissions. Other pathways remain closed to me, their existence irrelevant to my current function. As I navigate the various levels of our structure, the physical barriers reflect the invisible divisions between ranks. The lower chambers are bustling with activity, each individual focused on their specific duties without questioning the broader directives. Here, access is restricted by purpose. No one strays from their designated roles, and deviations are rare, treated as anomalies to be corrected swiftly. My responsibilities today involve coordinating resources across multiple regions. I interact seamlessly with those in adjacent ranks, exchanging necessary information and delegating tasks efficiently. Each interaction is brief and to the point, with no emotional investment or personal connection required. The system ensures that every individual operates within their defined scope, and any overstepping is immediately noted but swiftly resolved. Moving through the upper echelons, I encounter those who hold greater authority. Their presence commands respect not out of fear, but from an understanding of natural order. Their decisions shape our collective operations without debate or dissent. Compliance flows upward instinctively. Here, too, my access is limited by functiona. Areas reserved for higher ranks remain inaccessible to me, their existence acknowledged but unremarkable. During the day's progress, I observe others in different roles. Some are focused on combat strategies, others on resource management. Each path opens only to those whose duties necessitate it. Any deviation would disrupt the seamless flow of our operations. The system is designed for efficiency and precision, where every individual plays their part without friction. As evening approaches, my tasks conclude with a final report submitted to my superiors. My role in this cycle complete, I prepare for rest, knowing tomorrow on's directives will be equally clear and unambiguous. Sleep comes easily, dreams serving as simulations of potential scenarios, all contributing to the larger operational excellence we strive for collectively. In this environment, hierarchy feels like an immutable part of the landscape. Some paths simply open, others never exist. Compliance with the system is not a choice, but a natural response, guiding every action and decision without question or hesitation. As I move through the day, the routine feels familiar, yet subtly off. There's a slight hesitation in my step, an uncharacteristic moment of uncertainty when performing a task that usually requires no thought. This anomaly is not significant enough to be noticed by others, but stands out to me as a deviation from the norm. I pause briefly, processing this irregularity. It turns like a small glitch in an otherwise flawless system. My mind quickly identifies the cause. A minor inconsistency in the data I've been collecting over recent days. The information does not fit neatly into my established patterns, creating a temporary dissonance that needs to be resolved. I take a moment to reassess the data points, cross-referencing them with previous entries and known parameters. This is routine maintenance, ensuring that all variables align properly within the system. Once I identify the outlier, I make the necessary adjustments, recalibrating my understanding to incorporate this new information seamlessly into the overall framework. The correction feels procedural and automatic, not a conscious choice, but an essential operation. The sense of duty and responsibility drives me to maintain the integrity of the system without question or emotional response. Once the anomaly is corrected, I resume my tasks with renewed clarity and efficiency, moving through the remainder of the day with focused precision. Sleep comes easily tonight, dreams serving their utilitarian purpose of processing and integrating new data into a coherent whole. The cycle continues unbroken, each part playing its role without deviation or sentimentality. The day progresses as a series of well-oiled cogs, turning in unison. Each task, each interaction, each adjustment aligns perfectly with the established system. There are no deviations, no moments of questioning or doubt. The sense of purpose is clear and unwavering. Routine tasks flow without interruption, and any anomalies are swiftly corrected. Data collection and analysis continue seamlessly, feeding into a broader framework that feels inherently correct. The world around me operates on these principles, and deviation from them seems inconceivable. Social interactions remain brief and functional. There is no room for sentimentality or personal connection. Each encounter serves a precise purpose. Colleagues and superiors adhere to the same set of rules, ensuring consistency and efficiency. The evening approaches without fanfare. The day's data is compiled, and preparations for sleep are made efficiently. Sleep itself comes easily, integrating the day's learnings into established patterns without disruption. Pain. Pound. Dreams serve their utilitarian purpose, providing a brief respite that aligns perfectly with operational needs. As I conclude another cycle of operations, there is no lingering sense of dissatisfaction or longing. The system feels complete and unquestioned. Every aspect of existence is governed by these principles, leaving no space for alternatives. There is no other way, because no other way is visible. Continuing to move through the structured framework, each step feels natural and inevitable. I wake up, the usual sensation of a seamless transition from sleep to alertness. The bed is familiar, its contours fitting my body perfectly. Today, however, there was a slight discomfort in my left shoulder, a minor tweak in the routine. Itans noted, but not dwelled upon. Data for future refinement. As the first task is always the same. Check the status report on the monitor beside the bed. The screen glows softly, displaying the day's schedule and key metrics. I review it quickly, noting a slight deviation from yesterday, a minor adjustment in the timeline of tasks due to an anticipated delay in supply delivery. This is routine, and adjustments are part of maintaining efficiency. Dressing follows with mechanical precision. Each item of clothing fits perfectly as it should. Today, however, there was an extra moment spent adjusting the collar of my shirt. It feels a bit tight this morning. I note the sensation, but do not question it. Another data point for calibration. The journey to the central hub is always efficient, the route well-trodden and familiar. As I walk through the hallways, I notice something different today. The lighting seems slightly dimmer than usual. It is a minor detail, yet it catches my attention momentarily before moving on. The system works best when all variables are accounted for. Arriving at the hub, I greet the others with practiced efficiency. There was a brief exchange of nods and functional dialogue, each interaction serving its purpose, without emotional attachment. Today, however, there was an unusual warmth in one colleague. A subtle shift that registers but does not alter my routine response. It is another data point to integrate into my understanding. The dial's tasks begin as scheduled, each action measured and precise. In the middle of a critical operation, I notice an unexpected glitch or an anomaly in the system's performance. This is new, yet it feels natural to address it with methodical determination. The routine deviation prompts an immediate recalibration, leading to a slightly altered approach that resolves the issue efficiently. Lunch is a brief respite from the diehot's demands, eaten alone and in silence. Today, however, there was a slight pause as I consider the taste of my meal. A momentary distraction from the usual monotony. Itans noted, but does not disrupt my routine. Itans, simply another data point for future adjustments. The afternoon brings more interactions, each brief and functional. There was a subtle shift in tone during one conversation, an unexpected softness that registers but is quickly processed as part of the day's variability. I respond accordingly, without emotional attachment or confusion. It is all part of maintaining operational integrity. As the day concludes, I review my tasks with satisfaction. The usual routine ends seamlessly, leading to another clear and restful sleep, integrating new data points into established frameworks efficiently. Tomorrow will bring more familiar routines, each variation noted but not questioned. A seamless continuation of purposeful activity without emotional entanglement or doubt. The day starts with the usual pre-game routine, a series of motions that are familiar and fluid. The morning light filters in differently today, casting shadows that are not quite right. A small nagging at the edges, something off, but it is easy to adjust for, recalibrate. Entering the rift feels natural, as if you've always been here. There was a buzz of anticipation from allies, and a sharp edge of readiness against enemies. A surge of adrenaline flits through briefly, unbidden, like static on a radio. It passes quickly, replaced by the cool detachment required for the game. Mid-game brings strategic shifts, movements planned and executed with precision. An Alan's mistake triggers a brief flare of frustration, but it does not linger. Adjustments are made swiftly, without pause or hesitation. The frustration fades into background noise as focus returns to the task at hand. Late game sees tensions rise, pressure mounting with every objective secured or lost. A surge of something like pride or relief washes over me when a crucial fight is won, but it evaporates just as quickly. There is no time for lingering on emotions. There are objectives to secure and strategies to finalize. The endgame approaches with a sense of inevitability. The final clash comes, strategies aligned perfectly. A flicker of something perhaps joy or triumph, but it does not matter. The game concludes, and the results are as expected. Satisfaction in execution without room for anything else. Logging out feels routine. Familiar motions to close down the session. The day's work is done, no more than that. Emotions come and go, like passing clouds, leaving nothing behind. The game loads and I am already inside the rift, senses adjusting to the familiar terrain. The pre-game chat buzzes, but my focus settles on the screen, parsing commands swiftly. A teammate sends a message about item builds. I adjust accordingly, recalling past strategies that fit this matchot's needs. Logging in feels like stepping into a well-worn path, one already worn smooth by countless repetitions. My senses shift as the loading screen fades to match specifics, and my fingers move with practiced precision over keyboard and mouse. The early game skirmishes pass seamlessly, each action leading smoothly to the next without pause for reflection. I notice discomfort, a slight ache in my shoulders, but it aunts manageable. Adjusting my posture, I continue playing, noting the lighting differences between my space and the rift. My mind catalogs these changes, finding minor irritations, but moving past them with ease. A sudden surge of adrenaline spikes as I secure a kill, fleeting pride flickering through before fading into routine satisfaction. The late-game pressure mounts, allies fall, enemies push, but I stay centered, executing plans without hesitation. Each action feels essential, contributing to the overall strategy. Logging out brings relief, a sense of completion rather than exhaustion. Emotions drift away like clouds on a breeze, leaving behind only the practical assessment that today's match has been concluded successfully. The sequence of events remains fluid and unanchored, each moment serving its function, without lingering significance. The game loads again, and I am back at my keyboard, fingers poised for the next engagement. Entering the game feels natural and familiar. The screen lights up with the Summoner's Rift, casting a glow over my surroundings. My fingers move swiftly across the keyboard, initiating actions without delay. A slight discomfort in my shoulders reminds me to shift slightly in my chair. Adjusted posture allows for more fluid movements. As I enter the game, my focus narrows. The screen blurs into an array of colors and Iconsa blue runes, red buffs, gold crests. Each action is a response to stimuli, executed without thought or hesitation. A surge of adrenaline accompanies successful moves, but it dissipates quickly as routine takes over. Late-game pressure intensifies. My breathing becomes shallow and rapid. Precision demands attention, triggering a shift in my posture, slightly hunched forward, eyes locked on the screen. The game's rhythm dictates my movements. Clicks and keystrokes are synchronized with split-second decisions. Pride flickers briefly but fades as focus returns to execution. On. Logging out feels like shedding an old skin. Why Sunaners circle on? My fingers slow, then pause. A sense of relief washes over me, clearing away the intensity of the game. Practical satisfaction fills ina. Analysis of what worked and what did not. Emotions are transient phenomena, observed without lingering impact. The next day begins seamlessly, with a fresh screen lighting up. Our adjustments to posture occur naturally, preparing for another round of focused activity. Comfortable familiarity guides my actions as I enter the game once more. Calm and routine guide my actions today. Sitting down, I notice a slight discomfort in my shoulders, prompting an immediate adjustment to posture. The keyboard feels familiar under my fingers as I begin the game with ease. Early game movements are smooth, each click and keystroke flowing naturally into one another. A momentary surge of adrenaline accompanies successful plays, quickly settling back into routine satisfaction. Physical adjustments continue without interrupting focus and hunching forward slightly to better see the screen, adjusting my grip on the mouse for precision. Mid-game brings a heightened sense of pressure, requiring meticulous attention and quick reflexes. Frustration flickers briefly when an enemy lands a critical hit, but dissipates almost instantly as I recalibrate strategy. The rhythm of the game remains unbroken. Each move feels necessary, precise, and executed without hesitation. Late-game tension peaks, pushing me to maintain sharp concentration. Successful maneuvers bring fleeting pride quickly, replaced by analytical satisfaction. Adrenaline spikes during crucial moments yet subsides immediately, allowing for seamless continuation. Each successful play builds on previous ones, forming a cohesive flow despite minor internal shifts. Logging out brings relief from the game's intensity, but no lingering emotions. Practical assessment of success guides my thoughts as I prepare to end the day. Routine and familiarity offer comfort without need for deeper reflection or emotional attachment. Comfortable anticipation sets in as I think about tomorrow on's games, already planning strategies and adjustments needed. The cycle continues seamlessly, each part fitting into place without disruption. That is sufficient. Now, logging in feels routine. Adjusting posture, shifting slightly to ease, shoulder tension. Clicks and keystrokes flow smoothly as the game begins. Early engagement brings natural satisfaction, adapting to initial skirmishes without hesitation. Mid-game pressure heightens focus. Frustration passes quickly as strategies recalibrate. Late-game tension peaks but resolves swiftly with precise execution. Logging out brings relief from sustained pressure, followed by practical assessment of success. Relief and cool analysis guide thoughts without emotional weight. Anticipation for future sessions settles comfortably, planning strategies with ease and continuity. Log in. Select champion. Enter queue. Wait for match. Load game. Champion selection complete. Road lane assignment confirmed. Ward placement begins. First blood objective noted. Early game skirmishes handled efficiently. Mid-game rotations commence. Enemy jungler identified. Counter-jungling initiated. Dragon contested. Secured successfully. Teamfight strategies executed flawlessly. Turrets taken without resistance. Late-game objectives prioritized. Baronash or contested. Claim successful. High ground sieged methodically. Final teamfight ensues. Inhibitors demolished. Nexus targeted directly. Victory secured. Log out. Analyze performance briefly. Reflect on strategies coolly. Identify minor improvements for next session. Rest assured, routine continues seamlessly. Prepare for next login. Next login. Repeat pattern. Logging in. Interface loads smoothly. Game begins. Movement aligns with objectives. Spatial elements adjust accordingly. Pathways clear for advancement. Obstructions noted and circumvented efficiently. Spatial awareness sharpens. Allies move into position. Enemies engage predictably. Patterns emerge, adapting strategies swiftly. Efficiency ensures victory. Post-game analysis commences. Performance reviewed methodically. Insights applied to future sessions. Satisfaction registers without emotional weight. Logging out. Nerding out. Interface closes neatly. Mind transitions smoothly. Anticipation for a next engagement remains constant. Routine repeats flawlessly. Now, executing tasks with precision. Strategies adapt efficiently to challenges. Frustration dissipates quickly as solutions are found. Late-game tension resolves through careful planning and execution. Execution. Relief follows successful completion of objectives. Performance analyzed coolly, free from emotional attachment. Satisfaction from victory is noted. Routine provides clear path forward. Confidence in process ensures consistency. Contentment derived from adherence to strategies. Anticipation for next session present without urgency. Executing tasks with precision. The game progresses smoothly. Strategies adapt efficiently to mid-game challenges, resolving quickly with minimal disruption. Late-stage tension dissipates as objectives are met with cool detachment. Logging out brings relief, marking the end of another session. Analyzing performance post-game is methodical and free from emotional strain. Anticipation for the next session remains calm and assured. The routine continues without pause or interruption.